The quality was suffering way too much. There were ideas that we could have done that we just ran out of time. We were always under this gun and like, I don't know, just dodgeball because they can't think of anything. Right. If we're just using all of our creativity on what are we doing, we never get to that next step of excellence. Right. It's like, we made it happen. Oh, it was like Band-Aids and duct tape, but it happened. It's a weird dichotomy because it's the busiest day for me, but it should be the least busy day. In the sense that we have the most to do, but most of it should already be done. The pressure is off. Take as much pressure off on that day as possible. Today, we're talking about 3 things that I stopped doing before youth group.
Welcome to the Ministry Coach Podcast, where we give you weekly tips and tactics to help you fast track the growth and health of your youth ministry. My name is Jeff Lascola, and this is
Kristen Lascola. I feel like you're making...
I was trying to enunciate.
I could tell. Correctly. Very good, Jeff. So today we're going to talk about the 3 things I stopped doing before youth group and why. So the number one thing I stopped doing was trying to get work done. It's impossible. I don't work anymore. Kind of seems
counterintuitive. Explain that a little bit deeper.
Sure, Jeff. Thanks for asking. So I get work done still, but it's just not the same type of work. It's not the time sensitive work that I used to try to get done. So like, for example, before youth group, like on Tuesday, I would be working on my message or my illustration for my message or the last finishing touches on the discussion sheet or something. And so that day, that's like when all my staff would come in and there was always stuff to do and people to talk to and people needing your attention. So what I decided to do was to become very interruptible on a Tuesday because I just realized I'm going to continue to get frustrated that everyone always needs my help, needs me. And that's the way it should be. I don't know really what I expected. So I still work on Tuesday. However, it's just work that can be interrupted. That is not time sensitive. Like, I got to get this done. And I'm looking at the clock and it's counting down and oh my gosh, we only have an hour to program and that's irresponsible on my part. I can't tell my team, hey, you can't bother me.
Right. When this door is closed, don't bother me.
Because like, I don't know about you guys, but I only have them all together on program day. So it's like we're working as a team and, I need to be involved in what's going on. I need to be able to help people when they need help or mentor or coach. And, they need me to help them with their stuff. And that's part of my job is helping them. Like they have questions, they have needs, they have stuff, that I need to be involved in. And sometimes I can kind of, I'm on bonus time right now. They're occupied in doing their thing and maybe I can get a couple things done, but
give an example of some of the stuff that you would do that's interruptible work.
So it would be stuff that's not due today. Oh, okay. So it would be like...
So nothing having to do with that night.
I get everything done for that night well in advance. And so when the staff comes in and I give them their jobs to do to make the night happen, I'm available. Like one of my interns right now wants to give his first message. So he wants to meet a lot about talking through his ideas and his story and what verses and his illustration. So, I need to be available to give him like a good chunk of time, or if someone has an issue and needs to meet, or if someone runs into a problem and just overseeing. Sometimes things slip through the cracks and best of intentions, but people forget to put out things or set up things. And, you need to be like, hey, did you guys do this? So not, depending on the level of your team, they're not always super self-sufficient to bring everything to completion without your, help, I was gonna say intervention, but that sounded too dramatic. Like working as a team, and people like to have the opportunity to joke and chat and tell you about their day and all of that. And I'm a 3, so I'm very like in the zone when it comes to work and I want to get work done. And so I've really had to discipline myself to be interruptible and all right, yeah, let's have relational time while we work because this is the only time you guys are here. So let's get relationship is beneficial. You know, it's not always task completion that has to be beneficial. Like for ministry, it's the camaraderie, it's the chemistry. And, you know, I have to constantly remind myself of that because I like to just bury my head in my work and get it done while you bury your head in your work and you get it done. And then I'll see you afterwards and then we'll have like a coffee together. But right now it's go time. So I have to really just be a lot more. It's a very hard discipline for me to be interruptible, but I've noticed it's the healthiest dynamic on program night. So that
also gives that margin too when something does come up that maybe does need your attention. Oh shoot, we forgot about this.
Exactly.
That you're not, you know, having to like, I'm not even done with my message yet, or we don't know the game we're playing.
You can't. And I remember talking to a youth pastor years and years and years ago, and he's my same exact personality, and he was sharing similar frustrations. He's like, I can't get anything done on program night. Like, oh my gosh, like everyone just needs something from me constantly. And I told him, I'm like, I'm right there with you. I said, I think we need to just adjust our expectation of this is the day, even though it's go time, I need to be go time for you guys, not like, all right, I have my work. You need to complete your work before program night to make yourself available.
And isn't it always the way it goes? At least for me, like if I'm going to leave to go somewhere, I don't remember the things I forgot until I'm actually going. Where, if that makes sense. Like if I say, all right, I'm heading out the door, that's when I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot to do this.
Yeah, like every time I try to leave, I'm like, bye. And then you're like, wait a minute, I have 800 questions. You don't need to give examples,
that's fine. I already said
like,
it's a problem.
I've been here all day.
But the
Why
thing
are you
is,
asking?
I don't think about it until I'm actually in the process of leaving. So similarly, it's like, I can probably think like I'm all set up, I'm all ready to go, but I'm probably not, you know, until it's like go time. So I don't know. I think there's probably a correlation in there. In my head, that made a lot more sense until it came out. But I think you guys know what I'm talking about.
Someone out there knows what you're talking about, and someone is going like, yes, Jeff, I totally know what you mean.
Yeah.
It's not me, but someone out there.
Just giving yourself that extra time to like, oh shoot, we forgot.
No, I know what you mean. Like you're going to play the game and all of a sudden you're like, where are the goals?
Right.
You know, and it's
that
like,
still may happen. Who knows?
Yeah. Happens to me all the time. All right. The number 2 thing that I stopped doing before youth group is brainstorming for that night.
Yeah.
So that sounds probably obvious to you guys. You're smarter than me, but because I used to always want my team to feel really involved and they only would come in on Tuesdays, which is our program day, I would like sit down at 3:30, like, all right, guys, we're all here. Now let's talk about what do we want to do tonight? What game should we play? And I kind of thought like, oh, I can't plan this stuff without you guys. You're my team. You'll feel left out. But then I just realized the quality was suffering way too much because we didn't have enough time to execute a well thought out plan, or there were ideas that we could have done that we just ran out of time. And then it kind of forced us into this position. We were always taking care of urgent things instead of important things. And sometimes urgent things are important, but it was like we were always under this gun and like, I don't know, just dodgeball because they can't think of anything. Oh, where are the dodgeballs? Oh no, we lent them to FCA. The
default game for youth ministry. What are we playing? I don't know. Dodgeball. There we go.
Because
done.
You love it and
the
it's
kids
easy,
love it, but
you can't do that every night.
Right.
And that's kind of like keep it in your back pocket because you will need a like, I don't know, we're tired from camp. Let's just let them go at it for a while, like with some dodgeballs.
And just a shameless plug, we actually have several episodes all about last minute games, like no prep games. They are good to have just in case you have those moments where you're like, oh shoot, we don't have anything for tonight. Whatever. I'm going to brag on you for a second. I know.
Go ahead.
I know that games is, well, your whole program, you put a lot of effort and thought into every single thing that you do. There's a reason for all it, but games, with a lot of people, I do think become that last minute thing. It's always like, what's easy, what's quick, what do I not have to think about, set up, buy equipment, all that stuff. But I think the intentionality that you put, even as something as simple as a game, your games are very elaborate, and like there's so much drama and theatrics to
Pomp
it,
and circumstance.
with music, with lights, with all this stuff that has so much forethought. It's because of these things that we're talking about, where it's like, yeah, it could just become dodgeball, or
Right.
just these simple, I don't know, dodgeball again,
Yeah.
every single time. But when you are like, hey, how can we make this game better? Let's plan that in advance. And so that when the night comes, you have the materials, you have the music ready, and you know where the lights are supposed to go, and how when this cue means do this and all that stuff, which gives so much more interest for the kids. And I think you had said, I don't remember which one of your leaders had mentioned that when they were in junior high, Arden, who said, I can't believe they did all of this for us.
Yeah.
And what a great feeling. Because that's how it should be. It's like, this is for you guys, whether it's the message, the games, small groups, all that, there should be so much intentionality put into this is for you guys. And every aspect should be, exciting and fun to be around. And
yeah. And as you're talking, that reminds me of like, I don't do all that on my own. Like
Right.
it's a team effort, but the only way we can have all the things you're talking about is because I plan it in advance. So like on Thursday, I'll send the schedule to everyone who's involved in, it's called Tuesday night planning group or whatever. So that'd be like my tech guy, my interns, my guys director, the admin, everyone's on that thread. And I'll send the schedule out and I'll say, here's what we're doing for next Tuesday. So yeah, I came up with the plan. I picked the game, but then it gives them the opportunity to now take a good plan and make it excellent.
Yeah.
So all the things you're talking about. So we played, a game called Protect the President a few weeks ago. And so my tech guy knows that. So now he finds the logo that he created for it, or maybe he has time to make a new one. And he's like, oh, let's do like red, white, and blue lights. And then how about this theme song? Because this goes really well with it. Or like, it gives him margin to be creative and take, or like The Price is Right. Whenever we do it, he will change the lights and do the red and the green for like, if they get it right, it's green. If they get it wrong, it's red. And then he gets all the sound effects queued up and the logos and the Price is Right music. But if I just throw that on him Tuesday afternoon, I'm like, we're playing Price is Right. Can you make something cool? It's like, you're not teeing people up to give you their best work. So our games are cool because people have been thinking about it for 4 days and are bringing some stuff to the table for it. I plan the games well in advance. I mean, I know what we're playing all year long, but I push send on that the Thursday before, sometimes the Wednesday before. So they have 5 days to bring me their A game. And then when I sit down with my team, I can say, hey, here's the game we're playing. What do you think the team should be? Or how do you think we should play it? Or what should the rounds be? Or should it be timed? Or should it be this? Or where should we set it up? And then that's where they can come into the plan.
Yeah.
But if we're just using all of our creativity on what are we doing, we never get to that next step of excellence. It's like, we made it happen. Oh, it was like Band-Aids and duct tape, but it happened. And I hate that feeling.
Right.
And
even the most well thought out plan still ends up with a few of those things where you're like, oh, what we probably should have done was this. But if, like you're saying, if that's the night you're planning all of that, then so much of it will get filled into that bucket of, we could have made this a lot better.
And I did that for years and I really wish I hadn't. I mean, I feel like I was always like so stressed the night of, and now it's like, we're recording this on a Monday. My programs tomorrow, I already know exactly what's happening, and everyone's chimed in and, I'm like, oh, do we still need to do this? No, we have our plan and all we have to do now is execute with excellence. We don't have to do the heavy lifting of brainstorming. So never leave that for youth group day. Find a different way to involve your team. If you have a team that comes in on other days too, then they can be a part of the deciding, but figure out how to it's a weird dichotomy because it's the busiest day for me, but it should be the least busy day. And the sense that we have the most to do, but most of it should already be done. And now we're focused on excellent execution. We're focused on margin. What can we do to be better? Do you need to meet with me? Do I need to help you with something? I'm available for relationship building.
Yeah.
I'm, all those things, because it's like the pressure is off. Take as much pressure off on that day as possible.
And just real quick to give encouragement, it's not necessarily like a big budget thing. You could be a small ministry with a small budget. It's more about the intentionality and the time you put ahead of time into making it excellent.
Oh, totally. I mean, I'll be honest, the most I've probably spent on a game this entire calendar year, all my games combined, I've probably spent $50 or less, like Price is Right prizes. Like, I don't know. We don't usually need to spend money.
Yeah.
It's probably because I've over the years collected all the supplies and I try to keep them nice and organized. Yeah. But yeah, once you have the supplies, what's there left to buy? Prizes and candy. I go through a lot of candy. That's true. All right. Number 3, I stopped doing this before youth group, is setting up and prepping alone. So I was the sole engine for a very long time, and just the amount of time it would take me to set up the room and rooms, like I would be solely responsible. I'd have to set up the small group rooms, get those in working order, and clean out the chicken nuggets that were left in there from the week before, with the trail of ants included. I'd have to set up.
That's how you find them, is follow the trail of ants.
Follow the ants till all the trash that the junior hires leave behind. They are mess ninjas. They will find a way.
Yeah, sneaky, very sneaky.
We could do a whole episode on creative messes.
They go to hide a mess that would have been easier to just throw it away.
The couch cushions, like sitting down, like, what is this? And you pull out, it's
Ta-da!
pizza. Starburst wrappers in the succulents. Why?
They should put little post-it notes on it that says, "You're welcome," or "Clue number 1 found." Your next clue could be in a little riddle. Have to find it. That'd be exciting.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think we're going to have to stop selling Fun Dip at the Snack Shack, because last week the whole auditorium floor was covered in powder.
Ooh.
They just dumped their Fun Dip out.
Nice.
It's real sweet. Real nice. Anyways, sounds like a trip, like a slipping hazard, actually, now that I think about it. So I used to set up the small group rooms, clean everything up, set up the audio visual stuff. So back in the tech booth, getting everything loaded and set into Pro or PowerPoint back in the day, checking all the equipment and all of that, then setting up all the chairs, now setting up the games. And I would just be like, this is taking forever. And not that work is not important, and it's not like I'm too good for it, because I do manual labor all the time at church. But that work is important in the sense that it creates the opportunity for the real work.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we aren't facility managers. If you're a facility manager listening to this podcast, then you're the exception. But we are pastors who have to use a facility to accomplish our goals. So in that sense, it is important work, but it's not the most important work. So having a team that helps with that, so that and not that you don't participate, like what is there for you to set up too? But it's like, when my team comes in, that's the majority of what they are doing now, especially the young ones who are still learning ministry. It's like setting up the info table, making sure all the doors are locked, turning on the radios, setting up the cones for parking, unlocking the gate, putting talk sheets in the small group folders, setting up the music and the computers and the snack shack and all those things, where it's like, okay, this is a team effort now. So it doesn't fall on only to one person, and we've never run out of time. It's not like, oh no, it's always a very leisurely pace of getting this stuff done.
Almost too leisurely, if you ask me.
But it's just like, when one person has to do all of that, it is like, oh, okay, now I have to teach, and now I have to be on for students, and now I have to be relational architect, and now I have to be the funny and outgoing one. And it's just so hard to have to do all of that.
Draining.
So I guess if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, must be nice. Like, I'm still setting up every chair and turning on every, sound equipment, all of that. Like, please, before you do anything else in youth ministry, get a team, find a team, even if it's just one other person who's your like right hand man or woman that can just like charge some of this stuff together. And then the cool parts of ministry like that people want to try, like coach them on like, hey, do you want to learn how to speak, or do you want to learn how to lead a game, or do you want to MC from the front? It doesn't have to be like you're my personal chair setter upper if they want to learn other things too, but you just need a running mate. And I just think back to all those Tuesday nights of me sweating and looking at the clock and like, oh my gosh, I have so much to set up, and doing it alone. We didn't have a facilities team or anything like that. And then building up an intern team, and now we do all that stuff together. It just makes such a big difference, because I would try to set up ahead of time, but then the church was being used for other things. So it's like you can only set up so much. But yeah, like make sure people are getting to do different types of work. Yeah, I set up, but also I got to lead the game. Like, and if they don't want a mix of the two, that's fine. But, Chris Brown always says people don't want to be used, people want to be useful. So you as the pastor need to make sure that you're towing that line very carefully of not using people, but including people in ministry and making them feel useful.
Yeah. And always being the example, not the, dictator on a hill. You do this. You do this.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of closing. I remember a episode of The Chosen, and I guess I had read it in the Gospels, but when you see it, it hits different when Jesus was sending the disciples out, and he didn't send anyone out by themselves. He like paired them at least in twos, and was like sent these two out, these two out, these two out, to like, now it's like your turn to do ministry. I just thought that was such a great picture of like how we're really meant to be doing ministry, is like arm in arm with at least one other person. So if you're the youth pastor that's doing it all by yourself, like I just feel like that's a recipe for burnout.
Yeah.
And that's probably why a lot of them do, because they're lonely and they're carrying all of this all by themselves. So and youth pastors are very good at like, well, I don't have anyone, so I can't. It's like, all right, well, where is this person?
Yeah.
Do you think God wants you to be lonely and burnt out? I don't think he does. Why not start praying for that good gift of a running mate in ministry? Like, start praying for it now. Don't just throw your hands up and say, well, I don't have anyone. No one wants to help me, so I'm just wham.
Right.
It's like, find a way. And I truly believe God wants you to stay in for the long haul. He's not like, well, I'm going to chew you up and spit you out in ministry. Like, I don't think that's God's plan for us, so pray for the good gifts that are totally understandable. God, I want a running mate. God, I want a partner. God, I want a team. God, I need good leaders. Like, pray. Like, what does the Bible say? You don't have because you don't ask. And if even earthly fathers know how to give good gifts to their kids, how much more than our heavenly Father? If you ask for an egg, he's not going to give you a snake. So it's like that whole thing of like, I want to give good gifts to you. Ask. Don't just get frustrated that you don't have it. Ask expectantly, and be that like pest, that widow that just keeps going, remember me, and he'll hear you. So I think that's step number one. If this is hitting home of like, well, I don't have anyone.
Right.
Well, there you go.
One of the biggest differences between successful and unsuccessful people is that when an obstacle comes in front of them, an unsuccessful person a lot of times will see the obstacle and say, well, that's where it stops.
Yeah.
And a successful person will say, well, how can we get beyond that?
Totally.
Like, let's figure out, instead of it being, this is why I can't do it, the successful person says, let's figure out a way that we can.
Absolutely.
What does that look like?
And that's tenacity. And that's what keeps your ministry thriving and going. I mean, we could all think of a million reasons why, oh, well, their facility is better. Oh, well, their team's better, or their budget is bigger, or their people like them more. Like, we could think of all the reasons why the other person's ministry is easier or better. Or you can look at what's in front of you and
Right.
solve a problem or two. You know, God put you there because he thinks you can solve the problems that your particular ministry has. So solve away, pray away, and involve God in every single thing you do.
Strong. We did an episode a while back all about how to duplicate yourself, specifically kind of what we're talking about here, where you're going to have that passion. I hope you're going to have that passion for your youth ministry. You want that running mate, like you're talking about, to have kind of that same burn in their heart to want to do it. And so how do you duplicate yourself? Check out that episode. We'll link it below, whether you're listening.
Do you think everyone should duplicate themselves? Just kidding.
Maybe. I don't know. Question of the day this week is, if there were no repercussions, what snack would you be able to eat endless supplies of?
Doritos.
Which kind?
Classic nacho cheese Doritos.
I thought you were a Cool Ranch person.
No. They're good. Don't get me wrong. But if my health was not affected in any way, shape, or form,
as many as you want,
I could eat a mountain of Doritos, like a mountain. I don't think I'd ever stop. I think it would just go on forever because they're not filling. So, because I was about to say salt and vinegar chips because I love those, but they're so strong that I think like, okay, I think I would have enough at some point, or my tongue would like be all like raw.
Sandpapered.
Yeah, but Doritos, I mean, I remember in college driving to work and I had a bag of family size Doritos left over from a junior high event in my car. And in the half-hour drive to Wetzel's Pretzels, where I worked, I ate the entire thing. And I could have kept going.
That's quite the accomplishment.
It was one of the happiest days of my life.
I was thinking the same thing, not Doritos, but salt and vinegar chips, but Dot's Pretzels.
Ooh,
if you've ever had those.
There's quite an array of flavors of those
I
now.
know, but really, I just, the original is
the original is the best. I will say that. But at Whitewater, someone brought the Southwest flavor.
I don't think I've had that one.
Pretty good.
Well, put in the comment section below what's a snack. No repercussions. You know, you can get by without having any weight gain, feeling full. You have to spend money on it. Anything, an endless supply. What would you choose? Put it in the comment section below if you're watching on YouTube. All right, this is a community comment of the day, and this comes from Jared Tysenga. I apologize if I said your name wrong. Who says this episode was so needed. Thank you for the encouragement that I needed.
What episode was it?
Oh, great question. I forgot. It would take me too long to remember, but whatever it was.
I'm glad he liked it.
I'm glad you liked it. Thanks, Jared. We appreciate it. And thank you guys for watching and listening. And
we'll see you next time.